My next patron question is from Joey, who wants to know, do you think it's unfair to judge a TV show by just 1 or 2 episodes? It's not unusual for people to judge how they feel about a television show from the first episode they watch and already decide, following those 22 or 44 minutes, whether they want to continue with the rest. After all, television series require quite the commitment. But can you gauge the quality from just a few episodes? It's hard to know, especially early on. In the beginning of a series run, the show will still be trying to find its footing, figure out if the actors have chemistry, etc. Have you ever finished watching a series and then gone back to the pilot? It feels strange, since the writers and actors are still developing the characters and finding a groove. The first few episodes of Seinfeld, for instance, aren't bad, but definitely could use some work. Originally, the main female character was going to be a waitress at the cafe the characters go to, which is why Elaine is not in the pilot. Jerry, George, and Kramer's personalities also were not fleshed out, and even the theme song was different. The series also almost never happened, because it scored poorly with test audiences. It was only because of the support of NBC executive Rick Ludwin that Seinfeld even made it to air and eventually became an important part of the NBC lineup. A series I often think of that started off to a not-so-great beginning is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. When I decided to give the series a go, the first season was rough. The show operated on a Monster of the Week format, and I found the plot lines too absurd. I was unsure why this teen drama with vampires became so popular, and I told myself if I was still unimpressed when I got to the first season finale, aka the 12th episode, I would call it quits. However, I ended up liking the 12th episode so much I continued with Buffy and eventually became a fan of the show. While I don't agree with this opinion, a lot of people are not fond of the first season of Parks and Recreation, finding Leslie Knope too similar to Michael Scott and not caring for the storylines. However, the later seasons were a lot more well-liked, and the show is now a favorite of many. You also have to take into account the type of show and when you choose to start watching it. The first episode of Arrested Development I ever watched was during the 3rd season. However, Arrested Development is not structured like a Friends or a Frasier or a MASH. It's not a sitcom where you can tune in at any point and get quickly accustomed to the story and characters. So much of the character dynamics and humor of Arrested Development is based around callbacks and referencing previous episodes. But I did not know that, and I find myself not really invested in the characters or laughing at the jokes. A while later, I decided to give Arrested Development another go and start from the beginning. Watching the first season, I eventually understood what the series was going for and its style of comedy, and I fell in love with it. I think there's also a nervousness when a show is starting out, about how well it will do in the ratings and if the network will cancel it. Some series, like Seinfeld, have the benefit of an executive who is supportive of the show and wants it to succeed. Others can succumb to changing time slots and the people at the top not thinking much of it. Think about how many series on the major cable networks have been cancelled early without even the possibility of becoming popular and beloved later on. Hey, the Duck Factory could have gotten better. We don't know. So in my case, how many episodes do I watch before I decide a series is worth continuing to binge or tune in every week? Well, I found myself thinking about this very recently. When I did my countdown of favorite Fox Kids shows, I felt I had to revisit some shows and also watch a few for the first time. The Tick, Sam and Max, Secret Files of the Spy Dogs, and Dog City were ones I gave a look at that I had not really seen before. However, I knew I couldn't watch every episode due to limited time, so I settled on 6 being a reasonable number of episodes to form a general opinion. That was enough for me to get to know the characters, the humor, and the situations featured in the series. So I would say 6 episodes in is a good indicator, more often than not, on whether the personalities on screen will endear to you at some point or the storyline will excite. But what do you think? Maybe you think someone should watch an entire season, like I did with Buffy. Write your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for your question, Joey.